going to love this next conversation just as much as I did with my girl, Cathy Christen. She is a leadership alignment expert who is the creator of the Scale Advantage. It's a proprietary culture operating system that helps executive teams grow without internal drag. She partners with founder-led companies to align leadership, embed culture as a strategic driver, to scale with clarity, confidence, and purpose. She's had over 2 decades of experience building high-performing teams and leading through complex growth. Cathy has helped thousands of leaders shift from chaos to cohesion. Here's my girl, Cathy Christen. Hello and welcome to the Power Up Your Life podcast, powered by GoBundance Women. I'm Mandy McAllister.
And I'm Kelly Resendez.
And we have the biggest treat in the whole wide world today. We have our girl, our partner, Cathy Christen with us. What is up, Cathy?
Hello. I'm so excited to be with you ladies today.
It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to hear the things that you're going to share. So before we kick it off, before we dig into stuff, why don't you tell us a little bit, for the people that don't have the opportunity to know you like we do, tell us a little bit about your background.
Yes, absolutely. 24 years with Cutco and Vector Marketing as one of their sales trainers and leadership development, helping lead the leadership development programs. Probably about 18 years ago, started helping people start businesses and then scale businesses. And then realized pretty quick, I think it was 2007, the wall one would hit if you try to build it all yourself. And that's really where I think I leaned into the power of building great leaders within my organization, understanding the power of systems and empowerment. And it was a game changer. You know, I don't know, I'd be sitting here in front of you right now if I had not figured that piece out, because there were definitely no more hours in the day to scale. And so really got that down and started helping people probably 2012. Starting to learn how to remove themselves from their businesses, owners, really being true owners and not just full-time operators. In that mix, just started meeting people and through our networks, working with people that were getting ready. They were scaling too quickly, or they were getting ready for a merger, and they were seeing cracks in the culture. And became known probably for the past decade as like a culture architect amongst our friends and community. And that's really my passion. I love building great teams. I love empowering great leaders. And I love seeing business owners be able to really enjoy the freedom and peace, knowing that the team's got it, right? And the systems are working without them there.
Oh, I love it. Freedom and peace. Those are my key words to life that I'm pursuing. I love everything about it. And as a leader of leaders, you have this population of people that you've seen where people get stuck. And you know where you've gotten stuck, and you've gone into new ventures and gotten stuck, right? So talk to me a little bit of when you're in it, when you're in that stuck, or your leader that you're coaching is in the stuck. How do you help them get out of it?
Yes, absolutely. You know, I think that the first thing is to really do a checkup from the neck up, is the first thing, to really look at what's happening within my organization. You know, one of the big keys I always tell people is a culture audit, right? Like really look and see what's happening within the organization, like how people are treating each other. What's that like when you first started the business? Like, is this what you wanted it to look and feel like? How are people supported? What's going on? But really taking a look at, do they feel, and it's an internal look, that they are leading, that they are modeling the right way, right? Like, is what they're doing what they want their right hands doing? And many times they're like, oh no, they're taking on too much. They're not, and they're just burnt out. And so the first thing is really looking at, okay, what are you modeling for your people? Let's look at that. And then let's take a look at the culture and what do you want? Like, what do you want your business to look like? What do you want the organizational structure? How do you want decisions made? And really sitting down to take a look at that before we take any step forward. Because what happens is people take on too much. I got it. And sometimes they don't slow down enough to take the time to train other people, and they just try to take it on themselves. And that's just, you're never going to scale, right? Like when you're a younger entrepreneur, just getting started, and I say younger in terms of business just opened, right? Whatever age you're at, but just in that new phase of business is like having a child, so it's okay to do all the things when you launched it, but it shouldn't look like that 5 years later, 10 years later, definitely not beyond that, right? And a lot of times I see people have They really get stuck because they're trying to be everything to everyone, and they're trying to do everything themselves because either they'll do it better or they just don't have time to train someone, and I think that as business owners, we don't not have time, right? Like, if we want to have our lives, if we want time, we have to take pride and really have a desire to train people to be as good or better than us so that it can free up more space as we're wanting to scale.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, delegation is so important. And I think all of us get stuck at times and we realize we've taken on way too many things. I think I'm in that right now. As I'm sitting in an airport trying to make the most of this time. So, what would you say, like, to the people that are listening that know that they've actually sabotaged their own success a little bit, but they
Mm.
really want to take their business to the next level because they have taken on too many things. Like, how would you walk a leader through kind of getting to that next level and not sabotage their own success?
Oh, yay. I love this question. I think step one would be sitting down before even looking at the business, but really thinking about everything they want their life to look like, right? Just like, you're traveling, you're doing things like, are they comfortable with that? Some people love being on planes all the time, and that aligns where others don't. And so I think one, it's what do you want your life to look like? Because it's really important when we're aligning your business that it's aligned to your life, right? Because if not, you're not going to love your life, right? You're gonna be like, what? This stinks. And so making sure that they take time to have a little bit of a dream session is one of the first steps. And some people are like, what does that have to do with my business? I'm like, it has to do with your life. And so we want to make sure that the business, once we look at it and restructure it or have to press restart, that the systems we're putting in place, the processes, the people really complement what you want things to look like so that you are able to have that freedom, right? And even just how the
Mhm.
business is ran. If you have a brick and mortar and you're wanting to travel the world, that doesn't make sense. If you have a business where you have to trade time for money and you're coaching people, which is fabulous, but you're doing one-on-ones all the time and that's all you can't scale that. And that's not going to align with, I want the freedom to travel with my family and have all this free space. I'm like, how? Because if you're not doing this, it's not happening. And so I think it's really important when people are feeling that burnout and like, okay, I need to restart, is get clear on what you want your life to look like 5, 10 years from now. And then look at the business and what business model, like, how do you need to restructure how you're doing things or what it looks like to align with that? And then you can get into the nitty gritty of what do I want to do within the business? What really fuels me? What are things that I might need to do right now because we're restarting, or I might not have the right person in place, but I'm quickly finding somebody that is a great match for that job, right? They have the personality, they have the skill set, their culture, whatever. I know what I'm looking for in that role where I need to replace myself here. And so I think a lot of it, the answer would be clarity, right? Clarity in life, clarity in business, clarity around those roles and who you need in that role long term, because I see too many people get a quick fix and then that
Yeah.
just it just prolongs the inevitable versus pausing, getting clear, and then making sure they have a plan that is a good one to lean into and carry forward.
I love that reminder to, if you're going to furiously climb a ladder, you got to make sure that ladder is against the right wall, because that's the worst thing to get to the top and realize it was the wrong wall. Um, Being an entrepreneur in general is an unconventional thing. Like, we didn't follow the path of get a job, that normal conventional path. Talk to me about an unconventional strategy that you so firmly believe in that, normal people off the street might completely disagree with.
Yes, I would say that would be involving people from all levels of my company or whatever organization I'm a part of, being a part of developing ideas, solutions, what growth initiatives might look like. I was speaking to a business owner last week, actually in Austin, and we were chatting about stuff. And I said, when have you had, I said, a great way to get good insight into your company. I said, you can have a session with, yeah, just your leaders, or you can also decide, let's do that. And let's have a session where we have leaders in different departments. I said, all the way down to the janitorial. I said, I've seen some beautiful things happen when I've worked with companies. And they said, we need to change. We need to improve. Whatever you fill in the dot, whatever it is they were working on. I said, one of the best things you can do is bring people that all the different sets of eyes, because they see things that you might not where you are. And so when you have people that are the janitorial, the receptionist, of this, all these different levels and come together, they're able to bring different insight that the leadership might not have seen because they're not in the day to day. And so that's something that is a little unconventional for some people, but I feel like it brings so much power and like a holistic view at the organization.
Well, it probably makes the team culture stronger too, knowing that they're valued, right? Because there's
Absolutely.
so much value from every single person that is, a part of an organization.
Right.
So, Cathy, you've led pretty large sales teams before. And I actually had this conversation with somebody yesterday, but they said one of the most frustrating things that they endure is when they saw so much potential in somebody and they weren't actualizing it. And they were like, it would be so easy. And, I can share a little bit of my feedback after you go, but like, how do you deal with that when you see the potential in someone else? Like, what do you just let it go and just know that they're only going to change what they want? Or do you have strategies to be able to help them actualize that potential?
Yeah, I would say definitely strategies. And so I can share some of that. But real quick with what you were saying with to kind of full circle close with having the people involved, what you were saying is dead on. And also they take so much more pride and ownership of the whatever plans are carried out because they helped co-create them. And so it's a beautiful thing that happens with culture, people being valued and things being executed on, right? Those ideas actually coming into fruition, which is amazing. So let's talk the person who, is stuck, whatever they may be in whatever business, whether in sales and I think in sales, it happens a lot as an entrepreneurship because you don't have someone telling, you don't have to be here at this time. You're not clocking in, you're not clocking out. It takes more initiative. It takes more discipline. And for me, again, it goes back to the clarity. I want to know why are you working? Why is that important? Something I teach a lot of my business owners and definitely all of the people I work with in our sales business is I always say, I'm like, 3 whys, minimum 3 whys test, something I wrote about in my first book. But I'm like, ask them, hey, why is this important? Like, why are you here? Right? Like, what were you wanting to gain from your time with our company? Why is that important to you? And they're sharing. I'm like, and then why does that matter? And when you start digging in, you get to the real things that are driving them. And it's vision painting for people because sometimes people are feeling really clouded. And it's like, I love the phrase, have you ever thought about ... right? Have you ever thought about if you did this, what this could look like? And it's like, whoa. And so for some people, you have to kind of help them dream a little bit and find that connection because they need to connect what they're doing right now to how it helps them towards what they want in the future. And a lot of people don't know what they want in the future. And so we have within our company, we run dream sessions. We know like their top 3 goals for the year. And I think that the more you know about them, personally, which is also translated into different companies. I think it was Organifi. I remember going into their headquarters years ago. I think it was 2017 or 18. But I went over and I was like, this is what I'm talking about, right? Like this is stuff that I've taught forever. They do an unbelievable job. I remember walking in and in their break room, they actually had like a tree with people's names on it. And it had like their top goal for the year or top cup goals. I don't remember, but it had like very vivid, right? Very visible. And so when somebody closed a deal, signed a new contract, whatever they did, it wasn't just like, oh yeah, so-and-so just closed blank company or whatever new partner they had. It was like, hey, Julie's one step closer to getting on that whatever family vacation or going on that parachute and really connecting the dots because the work for most people, the job they have, the business they have, it's a vehicle. So we need to find out where the heck they want that vehicle to take them. And when we know that, we can use that as the thing we're constantly bringing up to help with that motivation or focus, because that creates activity, right? So what is it that's going to create activity for them? Most people do more to run away from something. Many times you have to help people figure out what they're working towards, but when they have that, they'll take a lot more action.
I love that. And that is deeply connective.
Mhm.
When you know someone's hopes and dreams, you know their soul. And to support that hope and dream is to support their soul, in my humble opinion. Let's talk about the scale advantage. I
Yeah.
love this. To most organizations, culture is this nice to have thing. How do you change that into with the scale advantage? How do you change that into a measurable strategic driver?
Oh, yes. Thank you. And this is what I've been working on for a long time, because it's the fluffy stuff. Sometimes it can be looked at, but it's actually what protects profits, you know? And so a lot of companies, I would say, don't fall apart necessarily from bad strategy. And even teams I've built or organizations I was a part of, it wasn't that the systems, or excuse me, that the strategy, was failed. It was that the systems were weak, or the priorities or people were not aligned, or leaders felt burnt out, because a lot of the things depended on few people being the ones to do it all. And so with scale framework is really my baby of like work of 2 decades of making sure, number one, they have proper systems, and looking at those systems and seeing, are they duplicatable, right? Anything that's reoccurring, do we have an SOP for it? Do people know exactly how it's supposed to be done, so that we don't even have to think about it? We don't have to answer like, oh, what's the process for this? Like, we have it. With culture, like, is it just a sign on a wall, or can people feel it? Are people supportive? Like, whatever is important to the organization, sitting down and actually looking at what those behaviors, what those rituals are that are important to them, so that it's lived and not just laminated on a wall, right? And so taking a look at that. The A is for alignment. And so really, like, if you ask, and I tell you, I'm like, ask 3 different people in the company, what are your top 3 objectives right now, and see what you get. Like, that's an easy, go do that today in your company. Like, ask, hey, what are whether it's the one, maybe you have one most important thing, or what are the top 3 initiatives for this quarter? Are people saying the same thing? Is there alignment on what's most important and where energy's going right now? Or is everyone moving in different directions, which slows things down? With the L, looking at how leadership is showing up, how do they talk to others? How do they empower others? Are leaders actually just, in a top position with a title? And I love, John Maxwell's book was so formative in my early years as a man. When he first came out with the 5 levels of leadership, I remember soaking that up and going to a workshop many years ago. I think it was 2008, actually, when I went to that workshop. But it was it made sense. It was like, wow, so many people lead because they're the boss, right? And like, that's it. Some people, like, they've had some accomplishments. Some people have done things for the organization. Some people have done things for others. And then some people are just like who they are, people want to follow. And so really looking and assessing, what type of level leader are you? And a business owner or an executive being able to look and go, how do the people who are most important or report directly to me, am I a level 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 leader to them? And what do I need to do to shift that? And so I think awareness around that, and then the empowerment of people, which is just a beautiful thing. How is that being carried out? What's happening there? Making sure that we clarify like decision rights and remove approvals that don't need to be there, right? And shifting from telling someone, here's what you need to do, to going, hey, by the way, what are next steps, or what are we working on, or hey, walk me through what you're going to do with this, and letting them tell you, right? And so you're giving them authority, you're letting them share with you, and it builds trust, and it really, I think, sets like guardrails for people where they can run, but they're they're within where you want them in that lane.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think, there's not a company out there that doesn't want to scale,
Correct.
right? A lot of them just don't know where to start. So thanks
Mhm.
for doing that. One thing, Kathy, that you've done an incredible job doing is making a huge difference in young adults' lives. There's so many people that have come from the Cutco world that really, you meet them and they're running other companies and whatnot. Like, for the people that are listening that have young adults in their life, or just trying to make as big of an impact in getting them to the next level, like, what's been your secret sauce in doing that in your business?
I think getting them exposed to personal development early, like that was a change. For me, I'd never heard of Tony Robbins or John Maxwell or Brian Tracy or anyone until I started working with Cutco at 19 years old. And it was a whole new world that I was exposed to. And I think that sometimes I hear some adults say, oh, but they're still young. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, the younger you can get them exposed to great groups, personal development, taking them to conferences, take them to UPW or to wherever, and have them exposed to this type of thinking, it starts shifting them young when they're exposed. And I love meeting young people in our circles that are like, wow, like I grew up with this because I grew up with Hal Elrod and these guys, and these kids all grow up doing Miracle Morning, and it's all they know. And when they see other people and go, wait, you don't have morning rituals, you don't have this, right? And so I think get them connected, pour into their growth. Do you know what these young people aspire to, right, later on. And a lot of my work with businesses, individuals, whatever, it's like, okay, where do we want to go? Where are we now? And then how do we connect those dots? That the work we're doing right now, because sometimes it might not be the most meaningful work because we're building a business, or it might not be the exact place that they want to be working yet because we're gaining certain skill sets to get them there stronger. Are we helping them see how every experience, every failure, I expose them big time to, I love, Sarah, a founder of Spanx, right? And I love them hearing her stories of how her dad would say, "How'd you fail today? How'd you fail today?" And I think that as leaders in our worlds and our communities, and as parents, for those who are parents, it's so important that we're encouraging them to try new things, to fail forward, to be there to discuss with them how have going through this. How will this make you stronger? What will you do different next time? How will this grow you? And then we grow a stronger leader in our world when we do that.
I
Beautiful.
love it. And it all starts kind of by leading by example, because they'll do what you show them, not necessarily what you tell them. And you definitely do that leading by example. Man, Cathy, so many gems. Let me tell you the couple of things that I wrote down. I love this idea of dreaming about goals with my team. And, how do I then celebrate it? Because I think one thing that in general we don't do enough of is celebration of goals. And if we could just make that a cultural thing, that I'm high-fiving everybody in my organization for what they wanted to achieve in their general life. How bonding is that? Kelly, what was your favorite takeaway?
Yeah, I think really just when you go into a company is really making sure that everybody knows the top objectives. Like you might take it for granted that they do. And if you really want to scale your organization, it's super, super important that everybody's on the same page. So, Cathy, you have been amazing. And in GoBundance Women, which you are the co-founder of, and we absolutely had a blast scaling this together. That we always want to know, like, what is one resource connection? How do we support you and what you're up to these days?
Yes, well, I'm super excited. We want to get more reviews for the book. So anyone listening, if you can go check out The Scale Advantage, that would be amazing. And I think for myself right now in my world, meeting more EO, YPO, COO Alliance, Rotary, groups like this where high-level leaders come together to grow and make things happen, connections to speak, to run free workshops for them.
Love
I
it.
love it. How do people get a hold of you?
CathyChristen.com has all the things, social, Instagram, LinkedIn. It has all the links there. That's probably the easiest place to go.
It's amazing. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure, to have you in our lives, be a part of Go By Women, and then
Yeah,
have you on the podcast today. So, for
thanks.
those of you that are listening, make sure you check out Power Up Your Life now for all the resources that we have out there to help you scale and grow your business. Make sure you check out Cathy's platform and also leave that book review for her. So, we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Power Up Your Life.
See you. Thank you.